This is Jeff from Airstream Nerds, and today we're going to de-winterize my Airstream.
Airstream song, cruising to the campsite singing our song. Airstream song, we are the Airstream Nerds.
This is Jeff from Airstream Nerds, and today we're going to de-winterize our Airstream. So I'm going to start by rinsing the RV antifreeze that I put in when I winterized the camper a few months back. I'm going to rinse that all out of the lines, make sure I've got nice clear water pumping through my lines, and then when that's all done, I'm going to clean out my waste tanks. Then I'm going to put the plug back into the water heater, and I'm going to, well, first I'm going to rinse the inside of the water heater out, then I'm going to plug it, then I'm going to fill it back up with water, making sure that I flip the valve stem, and finally I'm going to replace batteries and all of my wireless devices in the place. Such as I have the thermometer, I have my TST tire pressure sensor monitors, I've got the propane tank sensors, I've got my LevelMate Pro. All those devices get batteries. The sensors, the LP sensors get the 2032s. The sensor push over here gets the 2477s. The LevelMate gets a 2032 battery. I replaced this with a 10-year. I had to replace my smoke detector this year in the fall. So this is a 10-year battery that doesn't need to be replaced. But the other one back here in the bedroom I didn't have to replace yet, and that is a 9-volt battery. So the TPMS, they get the 1632 batteries. So I have all my batteries here. I'm going to go ahead and put all the batteries in. I'm going to put the places in. I'm going to get started with the water, and I'll be right back. For the smoke detector, pretty easy. From the top, you can see that you can just reach that from up there, pull it loose, pop the battery out, just pull this back, battery comes out, and just pay attention to where you took it out. Put the new one back in the same way. It pops to let you know it's good. Done. For the LP sensors, you can see there's tabs on either side. So I just take a small little tweaker type flat screwdriver, just pop it there, pop it there, pop it on the 4 corners. Compartment opens up. The board, it's magnetic. The board is loose. Pop it in there, slide the battery out, pay attention. The battery, this is not the same type of battery, but the battery, the plus side and the minus side, all these button cells are the same. Make sure the plus side goes up in here. For the 2032, that's the battery that came out. Pop it out, slide it in. There is this little rubber sync button. Just make sure that that's lined up. Snap them together. Open your app. Make sure that they're working. Everything should be good. And your battery should show full strength. For my LevelMate Pro, I have my old one, the first generation here. There's 4 screws, 4 little Phillips screws that you can see right there. Cover comes off. There's a battery compartment that looks just like that. The difference is it's over here in the new one. But essentially, you take the battery, you pop it out. Now I just took fingernail or a little sharp to pop it out. Then pop the new one, make sure the plus is up. Put the battery cover back on. You can tell it worked because on the new ones, when you turn them on, they beep. Generally, I keep it off. So So for the tire sensors, if you remember when you installed them, you assigned them a number and then you programmed it. Well, make sure when you take them off, you just do a quick little sketch letting you know which sensor's on which tire, so when you put them back, you don't have to worry about reprogramming them. Remember, you have the little tool to take them off if you kept them in the safety thing. So the first step to do the batteries on these is you have these 3 little screws here and here. You take those off. Okay, now that you have the 3 screws out, the top comes off and the inside part comes out. So this is the part that's spinning inside of this container. This is like the security container. You do not have to use this, but I'd rather not have one of these things missing. So the next part is you hold this part and unscrew this part. Okay, I find it easier if you use the little wrench just to hold on to it while you turn to get it started. Sometimes they're a little tight. The device opens up. The battery is right in there. Again, I like the little tweaker. I always have one in my tools. Figure out which way the battery comes out by looking at it. Slide the old battery out. Open the new battery up. Fight with the packaging. Again, fight with the packaging. Wasn't kidding. Boy, these batteries. Okay, once you fight with the battery, fight with the package, you get it out. Put the battery in. Remember keeping the plus side facing away from the valve. Same way you took it out. Take the top. Screw it back together. Be careful you don't cross thread it. It should go pretty easy. Take the little wrench to snug it back up. Reverse the process to put it all back together. And that is changing the battery on those. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use this wand, and it is made specifically to go up inside your water heater and wash it out. Clean any scale and debris. It's got a shut-off valve, so it's nice. Up, I connect the water supply to the trailer, and now I'm going to flush the faucets out. Now, normally at a campground or something, I'd put a filter on it, but since I'm at my house, I'm on a well, and my water gets treated. Not to mention, I control the pressure myself in the house. I know I'm at 60 psi, and I know I've got filtered water. So I'm going to go ahead and run that through. Now I've turned the water on, and if I've done my winterizing right, I've left the low point valves on. As you can see, I'm going to reach up and I'm going to shut them off. So if you've done the winterizing right, and if you've done the winterizing right, somehow you've forgotten, don't panic when you hear that rush of water on the ground under the trailer when you turn your water on. So now I'm going to go inside and I'm essentially just going to run the faucets to get all the kink out of them. And when I'm satisfied that's done, I'll be right back. Get that you are filling your tanks, so monitor the levels so you don't get them up too high, because we will drain the tanks before this is over. Sink and the wand. I've flushed the toilet, the bathroom sink, and I've let the water in the shower run on both the hot side and the cold side. I'm pretty satisfied that there's not any RV antifreeze left in. The water's not pink anymore, as you can see. So let's not forget the shower outside. So let's go do that. So a lot of times people forget to winterize them and also forget to de-winterize them. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of that. So you can see by, it definitely had antifreeze in it. You see that right there. Of course, while I'm doing this, I'm also looking in these compartments for things like the beginnings of a wasp nest, things like that. So I'm pretty satisfied that this is rinsed. I'm gonna power it out. I'm gonna go get a little screwdriver and take care of that nest. So I have finished purging the antifreeze out of my waste tanks, and have decided to not, since the levels are low, decided to not drain them here. Since we're taking a trip in a couple of weeks, we'll be on the road for about 10 hours. That ought to do a good job of doing a spring cleaning, so to speak. Just in case though, this is the chemical we use in our tanks. It is formaldehyde free. So what I've done is I've taken the recommended amount and I've bought bottles. I think these are 2-ounce bottles, maybe they're 4-ounce bottles, I don't remember. I'll put a link below. But I take these bottles and I bought a whole bunch of them. So basically we make single serving sizes of them. Every time we drain our tanks, we put a bottle in the gray and a bottle in the black. Most of our weekend trips, this is like twice as many, 3 times as many as what we'll use in a weekend, for sure. But for longer trips, I fill them all up. On a week-long trip like this is going to be, I'll actually bring the bottle with me, along with our single servings. That way we can refill. But I put 2 of each in the gray and the black. That way it'll help clean and break down whatever's in there during our trip. Not to mention it's going to sit there, and I'm probably going to end up putting more water in over the next week or 2 as I'm doing things around the camper. Now that I've got the residue cleaned up, I went back and I took some cleaner and I cleaned the sinks and the shower, the toilet, to make sure, because that antifreeze residue, when you fill up your tank, when you winterize it, you leave a puddle of it in there. It leaves a residue in there, so it's better to clean it up now than let it set. So now I've cleaned up all the places where the antifreeze was. Now remember, in the winter, you isolate the water heater so the water heater doesn't get antifreeze in it. But we do empty it. So every year, I buy like a 2-pack of these plugs, and I have a spare one in my box over here. But I buy these things. They're cheap, a couple dollars, and I keep a couple in the thing. Now with the nylon plugs, they say you don't really need to put Teflon tape, but I do anyway. So I'll put a wrap. Remember to put the tape the direction of the turn, so we're tightening it righty tighty, lefty loosey. Remember that one. We turn it to go this way, so we want to wrap it so as we tighten it, it doesn't unwrap the Teflon tape that we put on. Now, if you've been keeping up with the videos, I bought this a while back to take my tires off. It's a nice little setup, but it also doubles as the wrench that I use to put this on. So I'll use that along with this, and I'll get it on there. Now you don't want to crank it down like you're putting on a tire, but you do want to snug it. So let's go ahead and do that. And once you have that back in, we can switch the bypass switch on and let water get to it. If you remember, in my model, the bypass switch, bypass valve for the water heater is under the bed. Now you see the yellow handle there, that is the bypass valve. What that does is it cuts off water from getting into the tank, so when we winterize it, the tank stays empty. And you can read these valves pretty easy. I'm thinking of the points on the outside of this are facing this way. That means they're blocking the water. When they're this way, it is letting water through. So let me reach down there and do this. Now you can hear, as soon as I did it, water started going through. And as you can see, the valve is along the line, which means that there is water flowing. So my water heater is now filling with water. Now I'm going to go out and show you something about the water heater. In your water heater, this is a temperature pressure valve, also known as a TP valve. What this does is this thing pops if the pressure or the temperature gets too hot. Should something fail in here and allow the water to get too hot, it will, essentially expand. When things get hot, they expand. So what I'm going to do right now, since I'm filling this with water, is I'm just lifting up on this valve to let air out. Because as we're filling the tank with water, air is getting in there. So I'm going to let it go until it flows without the air noise. And what that basically is telling me that the tank is now full. When I let that go, we are full with no air pockets in the water heater. It just allows for the water heater to heat up quicker, and then when you start to use your hot water, you don't have all that air in your line to start with. Now, some of you guys might be thinking, why am I letting the water go all over this? It won't hurt anything. As you know, this is open and water gets in there as you're driving down the road. So water on this stuff is not going to hurt anything. I am going to turn on my water heater and test it. Now, hopefully by now you know the lightning bolt's the electric, that is your propane. So if you flip this one on, you'll hear a click. If you hear this one, you can hear like a high-pitched whine sound as the very high frequency. You can hear that the electric is on. I doubt you'll be able to pick it up on this video. Anyway, so I'm gonna let that run for a little while and then test to make sure my water's hot. Now just remember, just because I let the air out with the temperature pressure valve, there's still air in the hot lines, because until we flip that bypass valve, we're not able to flow the water through the hot lines to drain the antifreeze. So you will get a lot of hissing and spitting and stuff for 20-30 seconds, but then everything should calm down and run normally. De-winterizing your camper is a pretty simple process. I've got it down to 3 steps. First step, batteries. Make sure you change the batteries in all the little devices, the little gadgets that you have, starting with your carbon monoxide smoke detectors. Most important thing. Like I said, we have one that has a 10-year battery. The other one has a regular 9-volt. Make sure, if you're not going to do anything else, change those at least every year. I know they say they last longer, but just for peace of mind, do it. Second most important, if you have them, the tire pressure monitor sensors. Change the batteries out in them so they're accurate and they're safe on the road. And make sure all your other little devices, your gadgets, your LP detector, your LP level detectors, your level mate, and anything else that I have a thermometer in my refrigerator that has a battery. I change all those batteries just for peace of mind. Third and final step, put the drain plug back in your water heater, change the bypass valve, let the water heater fill up, good to go. Any comments, please post below. Any questions, same thing. Subscribe, button right over here down below. This is Jeff from Airstream Nerds, and I'll see you on the next trip.